Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm waiting for Melanie. I'm Jesse.
Oh, you're right. Melanie usually does go second, doesn't she?
Yeah.
No Melanie tonight. Man, I should have told you before we went live.
Yeah, that would have been useful. Whoa.
Yeah, Melanie is running errands, doing Melanie things, taking care of business. So it's
This
just
will
the
be
boys.
unmitigated chaos.
It's just the boys. Who's here to try to passively aggressively keep us on track? Sometimes she's more aggressive than other times.
Right.
But
she's usually right.
she's usually right, yet still fails to keep us on track.
That's right. Yeah. We are nothing if not persistent.
Since Melanie won't be here to amaze you with her stories of science, we're just going to have to amaze you with our inability to keep
With
focus.
our ADHD.
Yeah. Awesome dudes hyper dialogue. That's what it is. That's a new show.
Yeah. Try to deep fake that.
you can't.
Nope. Can't be done. It'd be amazing.
Deep fake. Speaking of deep fake. Okay, well, right off the top, we will be talking about Mandalorian at some point. Okay. Who's this show for? This show is going to be... I'm still stuck on that 3 weeks later.
That's our new tagline. We just take hate emails and we turn them into our content. Really.
To be fair, that's what we've done for a long time. We just
Oh, yeah.
don't get that many comments, so we got to hold on. We got to hold on to them for a long time.
We hold on to our rage. We take that spite and we turn it into fuel.
We don't know Gits. We don't know Wu-Tang.
No, we don't.
And we don't know who this show's for.
Yeah. Who is this stream for?
But first, Jesse, how you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm doing all right. It's
Good.
been a long week. It's been a long couple of weeks. Had the old spring break, and that was great. And then I had to go back to work, and that was harder than it should have been.
Hey, did you happen to... We didn't end up going to... I think we mentioned it last week or episode before. There was like... Or maybe it was just off mic we were talking about this. There was like some type of oddities convention show thing.
Oh,
Did you end up going to that? We didn't go to it.
Was that all? That already happened, huh?
Yeah, it was on April
Curses,
1st.
man.
Yeah, I mean, it looked cool, but it just...
Every
came at
year I intend to go to that thing, and I never do.
It just fell on an unfortunate... I was like, oh, the first of the month. I don't know if rent's coming out now or in like
But,
20
that
days.
too, yeah.
So
Yeah, I wouldn't have had any money to spend, but I would have liked
Yeah.
to seen what was going on there.
generally it's all good, but once in a while, I'm like, oh, bank account's looking a little tight. I better just tighten the straps. And
Yeah.
it happened to...
I better
that always-
stay home and use the things I already pay for.
Right. And that always happens to fall on like when a fun thing's happening.
Right.
I mean, maybe there's always fun things happening, and I just don't want to do them unless I can't do them. That might be
That's
right.
That's
little
right.
self-reflective.
It's that that forbidden fruit.
The oddity show is the forbidden fruit.
You can't do it, so it's the only thing you want.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, I was just curious if you happened to. I had told you I was going to reach out if we were going to go, but we didn't end up going.
I totally forgot about it. That whole ADHD thing again. Boy,
Probably
the
would
hyper dialogue gets me every time.
hyper dialogue.
Why do I have to be such an awesome dude?
Speaking of awesome dudes, you know who's awesome? Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is
He's
universally.
universally. He's universally hailed as an awesome guy. Man, if only you could like clone him.
Oh boy, that'd be cool, huh? Too bad we don't have technology for cloning.
So, in case you didn't know, we talk about movies, TV shows, sometimes comic books, mostly Doctor Who and AI. That's our
Yeah.
show anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Right.
much it. So Jasper, who back when GCU was a regular occurrence, was a co-host of with me on Grawlix Cinematic Universe, and he had sent us a message, and it was a video. And at first, I'm like, why did Jasper send us this video?
Yeah.
It's this song called Savages. I can't remember what's the group. The musical artist
I
is
hadn't heard of him before this. It was like
Alta. Is it AI or AL?
yeah, I couldn't tell that either.
I think it's ALLTTA. But I did notice on YouTube in the hashtags it had AI music. So I was like, huh. And I'm listening to this thing, and I'm like, what's AI about it? It sounded really good. The music sounded solid, the vocals sounded solid, and then the lyrics were good. I think the lyrics may have been AI generated, but then I was reading the comments and it's like, oh yeah, that's Jay-Z's voice, but this
Right.
isn't Jay-Z. So it's straight up AI Jay-Z voice. And there's been YouTube channels that have been doing that for a while. Like there's a bunch of, like you can go listen to a bunch of Eminem songs that aren't Eminem, right? But I think what kind of stands out with this is the audio quality is excellent. It doesn't, and I think if it just came on in rotation, you wouldn't know there was anything AI about it.
Yeah, it wasn't until you guys were talking about, did you see what this is? And I looked at the same hashtags and that I was like, oh, that's not really him.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like you'd be like, whoa, this is Jay-Z, but it's also like super old school kind of sounding in a way.
Right.
And pretty good song. I like it.
Yeah, it really was.
And my thought was, I was like, two things. Jay-Z, if he wanted, would never have to record again.
Right.
And the other thing is, there's lawsuits are coming because
Yeah,
this sounds
yeah.
good enough. And then I clicked. I also was curious. I was like, well, where can I find more information? And I couldn't find specific information about the making of this song. But you click the band or the artist's website, they tour and stuff, and they have other music, right? And they release music, and I don't know if they release this or if they do perform this live somehow, but they seem like a working band, which makes me think somebody's going to get real sore about this and lawsuits are going to happen.
Right. And unless this is like released free as some mixtape thing,
Right.
and they're never going to make them a dime off of it, man, they messed with the wrong guy. Like, of all the people that you could clone, why would you go after Jay-Z? Dude is a ruthless businessman.
Oh yeah, he's got resources.
Yeah.
And 99 Problems.
And he might be in Wu-Tang Clan.
No.
No. Oh, no, he's not?
I'm going to go ahead, before we get too many one-star reviews, I'm going to go ahead and shoot that one down right now.
Oh, he's not. Okay, he's not in Wu-Tang Clan.
He's in Ghost in the Shell. So,
Good. Okay, I'm glad we cleared that up.
but yeah, so, yeah, man. I know people, this has been a big discussion for AI art-related anythings. And I'm kind of like, I don't talk about it. We talk about AI stuff down here all the time, but I'm kind of like, I'm the anti AI art guy. Like when everybody was posting the AI art with the swipe through it because it's stealing other people's art, and I was posting F yeah AI art and whatever.
Right, yeah.
I get why people are nervous, but like, I don't know. I feel like that is different fundamentally because it's when artwork is scraped, and I get the permission aspect definitely plays into it, but when artwork is scraped, it's highly transformative what you get out of it.
Right. And it's
Cloning
changed. It is not
Right.
completely a one-to-one.
Cloning someone's likeness, though, and voice definitely falls into likeness, seems to me like a vastly different and more clear-cut case of like, if somebody wanted to bring a lawsuit, I think it's pretty obvious which way it would go.
Right.
But
And I
interesting,
think
I guess.
rightly so in that situation. Right.
Right.
Like even the like we joke about CGI James Dean, but like if the family was not behind it, they'd have every right to shut it down.
Oh yeah, you definitely. You couldn't, and I don't think any business with the money to invest in a CGI James Dean would even attempt to do that without legal clearances, like without permission, without the rights. Whereas part of what I like about the AI, the current AI, at least AI content generation type thing now, is that it is super accessible. But it's super accessible, so people aren't as concerned about investing a bunch of money and worried about lawsuits. They're just like, I could do this, I'm gonna do it. So,
Right. And also,
voices,
like, yeah, like you say, like Jay-Z should be able to use this because it's his voice, right?
right. I think he should do a cover of it. He should
I
do a
think
cover
that'd
of
be
it.
the best way to own this, man.
Yep. I'll just be like, oh, this is my song now. I wrote this. I made this. This is mine. And if you have problems with that, a lawsuit.
Right.
Hey, Melanie, what's going on? She agrees.
Heyo.
She says right.
That's right.
See, she's here. Yeah, that was a tangent. Shout out. Why am I doing shout outs? Jasper, thanks Jasper. He's not listening right now, but thanks Jasper because at first he posted that in the Grawlix. We have a Grawlix little messenger chat group, and my first thought was like, because usually things posted when we post things in there, they're immediately evident that like, oh, it's a Grawlix thing. Like Jesse, you posted that Muppets poster.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
Because
when
I'm a
Jasper-
puppet enthusiast. Yeah.
Of course. Am I being loud? I must be being loud. How about now?
No, it's the shout out.
You Okay, I get it. Thank you, Melanie. I turned myself down anyway. I feel like I was shouting.
It's that thing, man. Like there's a slight delay in the chat. I've been there. I've been where Melanie is. And it's like, oh, so my comment shows up and like, oh, they've moved on. They don't get it.
They don't.
So we have
they
to
don't
live
get
a couple of seconds in the past in order to understand the chat. Sometimes.
Will it even out if we just go real slow about everything?
No.
Okay.
Even if we went faster, it wouldn't. No, going faster would be worse, but yeah, no. Slow wouldn't help.
I wonder if. What if you cloned a couple people's voices and then mixed them together? That becomes transformative.
Like a
right?
homunculus of sound,
Yeah. That's.
which is now the title of your next album.
Yes, that's great. Usually I talk so long, it's not a problem.
We usually reiterate the same point over and over.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
That's a good point.
Speaking of, let's move on past this point.
Melanie shows up in the chat, and suddenly we're back on track.
Now I feel like I have to move the show forward. She is effective in her keeping us on the rails. Problem is, I don't have much else to say. I guess we could talk about Mandalorian, especially if Melanie's in the chat. I know she's probably doing other things too, but if she's in the chat, she can chime in if she wants. Because we had just watched this week's episode, which was episode 6 of season 3, I think. Guns for Hire. And I still feel like I'm shouting. Am I like David Lynch over here? Like, you ever watch David Lynch act in things? He always does this character where he's like, yeah, so, anyway.
And he's like the guy for like strange nuance and subtlety, and yet
I want AI David Lynch things. I bet AI could nail David Lynch anything so long as it's not super advanced. You want the AI to still be weird, right? Like weird and random. Because if it's like too buttoned down, you're not going to buy that as David Lynch.
Every once in a while, the guy has too many fingers and we don't know why. And we'll be looking for the reason why.
Right.
Like, why does he only have 3 fingers in that scene, but in the next scene he has 6?
They say about AI, like, when it just kind of pulls information out of nowhere, or with the art when it's like just really weird that it's hallucinating or it's dreaming. And David Lynch, famously in that behind the scenes that stuck with me for the Twin Peaks: The Return, was so mad because they didn't give him time to dream. Well, he doesn't like time schedules, and he's like, that doesn't give us any time to dream when he's shooting this thing. David Lynch's AI. Okay, Melanie's bringing it back on point. I love Jack Black and Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd, she says. This was cameo episode.
Oh man, yeah.
I kind of knew it was. Like I didn't know who was in it, but I had seen headlines about there being several cameos.
Well, and even in like the cold open, like the very first scenes, you know, you got the Mon Calamari character, and I'm like, who is that voice? Who is that voice? You know, and it wound up being not Tom Holland, but Tom Holland's brother, and so I was like, that's why it sounds so darn familiar.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. I didn't realize that. The whole time watching that scene, I was trying to think of a Romeo and Juliet fish-related pun, and I couldn't.
Oh no,
Romeo and fish fillet. I couldn't think of
it. Romeo and fish fillet.
But that's exactly it. You couldn't pronounce it right.
No,
else.
Yeah, not off.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Not off the top of the head. No, that one will take some time.
I want. Here's okay.
A fillet on both your houses.
That's real good. That's real good. Bite my fin. You bite your fin at me, sir.
I do bite my fin at thee, sir.
People say this show, Mandalorian, not Grawlix, lacks focus. I mean, maybe people say that about this show too.
Oh yeah.
People say Mandalorian lacks focus, but I think what they're doing is every episode is a potential pilot for a new show, and I want Blade Runner, Future City, detective buddy cop drama with Mando and the one chick where they got a detective through all these robots. I want this. I feel
like we got a different Mando, but really it's the same Mando. It's just we forget how much he hates droids.
Right.
Because he's usually holding back, but boy, he was not holding back that droid hate in this one. He's just this one, kick it.
He's just kicking.
He's like a bully. He's just like, can you see? I'm in your way.
Well, and they even did like the like, not good cop. I guess good cop, bad cop, buddy cop, like dynamic between the two of them, right? I loved that sequence. I thought it was great. Melanie wants robots petting human heads and being like, okay, tiny human. The robots... Melanie questioned why. It's like, why do they need an Android bar? I was like, I don't know. It's kind of like the Tron sequel had bars for programs. Like, why would they need that?
Right.
But it really... The Star Wars universe is horrifying from the point of view of an android, because if they have a bar, sometimes they definitely seem like they have genuine emotions. Like speaking of AI, there seems to be a genuine artificial intelligence in each of them that is like a being. Yet at the same time, they will just sell a robot to somebody or decommission robots. Like they are still just objects. It's kind of horrifying and very cold.
I mean, like C-3PO he's totally huffy, you know, like, oh,
yeah,
my word, very, very like nervous all the time. And then R2-D2 is Mr. Sassapants.
I had the same thought a few episodes ago when the mechanic lady was trying to sell him the robot. Like, the robot has PSTD, and I'm like, this is slavery, yet you're selling them? Like,
right.
What do this is robot slavers. What are you doing? If it's got enough emotional awareness to have
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
PTSD.
PTSD. I said it backwards. Yeah, Melanie points out they all have very distinct personalities. so I kind of, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I want that good cop bad cop Blade Runner procedural detective show that we got this episode. I want more
Right,
of
yeah.
that. That was great. Christopher Lloyd, anytime he pops up,
Oh yeah.
I'm all about it. It's great seeing. Jack Black was fine. He's a little over the top, but that's Jack
Right.
Black, right?
They
And
were meant to be though. Like those two characters were perfect for those roles, but it was a little jarring. But really, for the setting that we got, like, was the super clean, art what artisanal, not artisanal. I don't know. Like an artisan culture, like a Rome, but nobody has to work. I don't know.
and this like interesting. Speaking of, I've seen this type of thing in anime a little bit. This like critique of democracy in a way, which is a little weird to see, where basically they can't do the things they need to do because of their democratic system. Like, why don't you just turn the robots off, or why don't you have weapons to go do this or whatever? And there was some other stipulations like enforced on them as a city or whatever, but it kind of came down to like the people have to vote for it to happen, and they won't vote for it to happen. It was
That doesn't
interesting.
feel anything like real life,
Right, right.
especially in America. We just want to get rid of or make daylight savings time permanent. Either one.
I thought this episode there was a fun little bit of world building going on, or
Right.
exploring, I guess. I
Except for Grogu, who is a whore for cheese or meat or any snacks.
anything,
Really.
anything. He'll turn on you in a second.
And he
Somebody's
will
got a
just
little kipper.
ruthlessly, just like, he will cheat. He's going to make sure Lizzo wins. He's going to secure that next snack. He needs a hit. He's jonesing for another frog.
You're right. Do you think she knew
Ear
he was
rubs,
helping her cheat?
head pats.
She knew.
Yeah.
That's why he got knighted, right? Because she knew
Right.
he was helping her cheat. Ear rubs, yeah, yeah. Just shameless.
It took him out of the episode entirely. I mean, it was a good plot device for getting him off screen during,
Right.
like, dude is not going to run. Dude is not going to chase a battle droid through the streets of Neo Tokyo.
How do you feel about? And I know we talked about this. We've already talked about this. The fact that, excuse me. What's the lady's name? The
Bo-Katan?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars name?
It's Boca Star Wars name. The fact that they set her up as the Mandalorian Jesus and not Mando, not Din Djarin or whatever his name is.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate Star Wars names.
Din Djarin, yeah. Yep.
Every time that he's
The
referred to that, I'm
Mandalorian.
like, who? Oh, you mean
Right.
Mando?
Yeah. The Mando. Come on. Apollo Creed knew.
But there's like,
Couldn't tell you that guy's name either. Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers knows.
You're right. But there's headlines critical of like, is Mando even the main character of the show? But I think, for me, like, how do you feel about that? To where he's
Eventually, it's got to evolve past whoever the main character is, I'm okay with that. That's not my biggest concern.
right. I don't mind at all. Melanie has a good question too. I don't mind at all. I kind of like that. It's like the whole Doctor Who thing of like what irritated me so. Doctor Who is definitely the Doctor is the central character of Doctor Who, but that doesn't mean you have to make her or him space Jesus. Like, it doesn't have to be the central character of the universe. It's better when they're just like a passerby, and that's what for me works so well with Mandalorian, and it also fits into kind of that pulp western, pulp samurai, serialized story thing where he's the character we follow, but the story is usually not about him. He's interacting with the story. Like he comes across a small town and they need saving from raiders, which they've done at least once or twice here, or he 3 times maybe. Or he comes across this like local political problem and you gotta take out the corrupt local government or local mayor or whoever. Like that's the story's about the other thing, and our main character is just like
he's our point of view. He's our
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they're doing. I think they do it well. And the headlines that are like, is he even the main character? I feel like they miss the point of like the genre that this is.
Right.
He's not supposed to be king like the Doctor. Yeah. He's not supposed to be king. He's not king of the Mandos.
Right.
He's just the Mandalorian.
Right.
Or a Mandalorian. Melanie asked, have we already discussed why the Mandalorian superweapon is a lightsaber and not their, like, Busker super metal?
Beskar, yeah.
Why it's not their metal. Why it's a lightsaber, which is traditionally not anybody but Jedi type thing. I don't know why.
You don't know.
Other than dark lightsaber looks cool, but
I think they kind of talked about it just like as an offhanded comment about how the Jedi and the Mandalorians used to work together, and then they kind of fell off, kind of deal. And I think that's probably where the dark saber falls into it, because the dark saber is like kind of like a prototype lightsaber kind of deal.
Okay, that's interesting. Also, space pirates.
Space pirates.
I mean, I do. Part of what I really liked about the first season is how every episode, even though there were the season-long arcs, every episode was its own like little adventure. Like I was saying, let's go save this town, or he's stranded in this desert place. Or since the Star Wars, this desert planet that we end up on all the time.
Right.
And he's got to fix his ship and deal with the locals. Stuff like that. And I feel like this season is still doing that, but it feels less cohesive, and maybe that's the problem. Right. Because it is like they're tying in these bigger plot lines, but even that doesn't feel... Hey, Paul, here's Paul, also with Space Pirates.
Space Pirates!
We got all the Space Pirates.
Space Pirates.
So maybe that's people's, like, it just doesn't feel quite as cohesive, but I think they're essentially doing the same thing. I think that one episode where they just derailed into, like, this whole other story,
right.
It maybe really kind of threw the balance of the whole season off. Anyway.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, like, all of these episodes have felt like little pastiches,
right.
in their own way. But it is different because now we have this ensemble cast, and they are leaning into that more than they have in the seasons past, where it's like in seasons past, Din Djarin would go off and do his thing, usually connected to Grogu for a while, right? And then he would need something. So he goes back and he gets Carl Weathers, or he gets...
Right.
That Gina Carano right-winger lady. Sorry.
Where's she at? Why is she not on the show?
Oh, it's weird. It's weird that she's not there. They even like gave her a throwaway line as to why not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in this one, it's like they're always there. They have to be. And so we have to deal with that all the time, which is not something we've ever had to deal with in The Mandalorian before.
Right.
Because
and Paul,
that was relegated to the spinoff, right? Like, oh, well, we'll do that when we do some Boba Fett show.
Melanie also makes a good point. So Paul says this season is the Let's Retake Mandalore arc. And I think maybe that's throwing people because even though it is directly tied to Mando, it's not really essential to Mando, even though he's kind of driving the whole thing, or Grogu. Whereas the overarching plots before were usually central to, like, Grogu or something, Melanie says, "Yeah, but they just got a chunk of fine creature infested desert, so why now?" That is a little like they did just get a new home, and the first thing they do is like, "Let's go to our home planet instead."
Right. Yeah.
Creature infested desert. I mean, maybe it's not super nice, but they were living in caves before, so
Right. Next to a pond of death.
right, right.
I
Whatever.
was glad to see those aliens back that Paul's referencing, you know. I have spoken.
Yeah, it was his buddy from like the first couple episodes, right?
Yeah.
Was it took me a second to like who are those guys supposed to be? Right, right. It's his buddy
Yeah.
from the beginning of the series. His people. It's good.
It was interesting how they kept bouncing back and forth between like, no, I know how to handle this. No, I know how to handle this, and you should keep your mouth shut. And then he's like, I'm going to kill you because you're a droid. He just
Right,
couldn't
right.
rein it in, even for a second. The dude who is so calculated all the time is like, nope, put a droid in front of him. He's got to kick it over.
You're right. He does he is otherwise very reserved and calculated, except for when it comes to droids. He is so racist. He's the
He
most
hates
racist.
those droids.
Nostalgia for the childhood home, driving the Mandalore plot. Shrug.
You can't go home. You can never go home. Come on, Mandalorians.
Melanie said of those one people, they remind her of the Harry Potter trolls.
Oh yeah, those are the goblins that run the bank.
Which this is something Melanie was talking about the other day,
Oh,
and I've had this thought. I had this thought a little not long ago. I was watching a clip from some Harry Potter thing. I was like, wait a second, the trolls run the banks?
right.
That's a little weird. We don't have to discuss that too much on the show, but I mean, it's a compelling it's a compelling argument for like, you know,
Maybe
what's her
the
name is
writing
a
was on
garbage-
the wall all along.
maybe what's her name
Maybe
was
it
always a
was.
garbage person, right?
Yeah, maybe.
She who shall not be named, right?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's interesting. We don't have to get into this.
How we can talk about like almost every other franchise in the pop culture universe when we're talking about the Mandalorian.
Well, like, what's her name is like kind of universally reviled, right? Not even the people. I don't. Maybe people do jump to her defense who are
Who are
Of that-
original OG
of
fans.
that. Well, I was thinking about the trans thing in general, who are of the same opinion as her.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe people do jump to her. I never hear anybody defend her.
Right.
If anything, I hear people like, "Yeah, she sucks," but I like Harry Potter, right? Like that's the most
right.
like
They're willing
kind
to
of
forgive
defense.
anything for their precious Pottermore.
right. But oh yeah. Paul says we don't get your kind here. In Mandalorian, I was amused by that when they go into the android bar.
Yeah. I'm guessing they don't get a lot of our kind here.
Okay, this is okay. First off, let's do the Paul comment. This was by far the funniest episode of Mando in the series. Some nice callbacks, good new material, good stuff. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize there. Whatever. I can't Grawlix a comment, so I probably shouldn't have put it up on screen, but that's fine. Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I'm telling you, I want a buddy cop detective story with these two. Melanie agrees it was tons of fun.
Yeah.
She also said, "Hey, Kevin Spacey was a great actor. He was just a POS person." Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's going to disagree with that. Everybody loved Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, we
until
did. We did.
People were like,
You know, he
"Oh,
was-
he might be a horribly evil person."
Yeah. He deserved to be canceled.
Right.
And also, you know, like the stuff that he put out was solid.
He was great in that one movie as a serial killer. Wait a second.
Wait a minute. Yeah,
I loved him as a horrible,
Boy,
conniving
he was
murderer.
great as that creepy guy in Seven. Oh,
He was wonderful as
He
a horrible,
wasn't
conniving,
acting.
murdering politician.
maybe he was never an actor. Maybe he was just hanging out on set.
He was great as a creepy dad, creeping on some underage kids.
Oh, gross.
Oh. Paul, you know what? I would be surprised if that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah.
YouTube, somebody on YouTube needs to get on that. Paul says, I want somebody to reshoot parts of the episode like an 80s theme song, My Two Mandos. Oh, yeah.
There's
That was a
probably
thing.
already a Full House beginning. Like, there's probably a Full House intro on the internet by now.
Okay.
I was surprised to see the full old crew back. I wasn't sure that they'd get Sasha Banks or whatever her real name is. Mercedes something.
In the Mandalorian crew?
Yeah.
It's Disney will resurrect you if they have to.
And
Apparently
then
the
she
only
didn't
thing
really do anything. She just kind of stood there. So that was easy money for her.
Right. I was going to say, Disney, death doesn't matter. They will put you in something if they want you. The only thing they can't do, apparently, is on-cancel you. They can resurrect you, but they can't on-cancel you. That's
Right.
it. Which is not a comment on cancel culture. That's fine. It's just amusing.
Right.
Death means nothing. It's like, oh, he said something pretty sleazy. He's dead to us now. Or she, or whoever. Cryogenics.
Freeze
So-
your Disneys.
Did Walt Disney really... Is his head frozen somewhere?
Wow.
Is that a
that's
thing?
that's the thing. That's what they say.
So I guess they...
And why?
Maybe that's why they're like, we could bring him back, but listen, we've heard the rumors. He would get canceled in 2 seconds, and that's the worst
Right.
scenario for us.
He'd lose us a lot of money. We've got to protect our shareholders from Disney.
From Disney. Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. What's the biggest threat to Disney? Disney himself.
Disney himself.
Disney's talking heads.
Oh, Melanie says she thinks they went bad. Most of them
Man,
did.
all that retro cryo was never the thing.
That's I would not expect that tech to hold up. But
Retro cryo, name of your next album.
Paul's still on this like 80s sitcom kick. Just Jin, Grogu, and Katie Sackhoff. Also, yes, we will not use her Star Wars name in the show. She will be crazy.
She's no longer Bo-Katan. She's just Katie Sackhoff. She's, whatever her Battlestar Galactica name was.
Just running around the galaxy, getting into all sorts of shenanigans. Each episode has an Grogu. Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's got like some kind of animal leg sticking out of his mouth. Like, what?
Not even a little one, just like a giraffe leg sticking out.
Right. It's just Lizzo feeding him treats all the time. Oh, Grogu. Did you cheat at centipede cricket again?
On this very special episode. He's cheating. Yeah, he's cheating at... did you cheat at the Mandalorian test game, whatever they do? Whatever it is, training?
Right. Yeah, it's a good thing this kid was never a Jedi, because he would have been dark side before you knew it.
Yes, he would have.
He would have gone dark side for a bag of cookies.
Dark side has frog legs. He's over there.
Yeah, come to the dark side. We have cookies. That's all it would have taken.
So
I don't know.
Melanie asks, when is Grogu going to start talking, or signing at least? I didn't read this article because I can't trust any article about Mandalorian, and that's actually something I want to mention later. But I did see an article about basically the producers they've had discussions on when and if Grogu will ever talk. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I kind of feel like you will lose some of the appeal.
He kind of made like a grunt noise that was probably supposed to be "This is the way" on that one episode.
Right. Paul says maybe he's a telepath. I have noticed they do. It's a little weird because they will make him, like, his more intentional sounds do sound not human. But then whenever they're like, he needs to make a cute baby sound, it's clearly a human baby. It's like a totally different sound.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Did he? He half spoke a word? I didn't notice. Maybe he'll. I don't know. Maybe that's the
Should
best
be
way
like
to
a
go about it.
baby. You're like a human baby, where like once they get one word, they just say it over and over and over.
That
for
one
everything,
word.
right?
Right. See, that'd be all right. She walks both ways. I was thinking about that when we were watching this.
Oh, right, yeah.
When he first met Lizzo. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check it out again. I'll at least jump to that part. Paul says he hopes Grogu has some super deep bass voice coming out of his whittle itty bitty body.
That's just that Roger Rabbit fan in you.
Yeah,
The
you're
baby
right.
that munches on cigars and is like, "Hey, get off of my set." I see you.
I forgot what I was going to say, but that reminds me of Melanie and I have slowly still been watching Poker Face every now and then. I mean, the whole season's it's probably been over for a little while, but we've slowly been working our way through Poker Face. And Nick Nolte was a guest on recent. Actually, that was a very cameo heavy episode too. I can't remember who was all in it, but anyway, Nick Nolte. And he always had like the grumbly voice, but he's like super old now. His voice sounds like it's almost gone. It was very like, whoa. Hearing Randy read that comment was worth the price of admission. Fortunately, it was free, but I'm glad. His little itty bitty Yoda baby body. Itty bitty Yoda baby. Oh, you just a little bitty Yoda. I'll stop now. The show and broadcast. What if
over,
I
guys.
did?
Yep, that's it. And he means the show. Like, we're done.
No more Grawlix.
No more.
We got tagged on Facebook today in a post for the other Grawlix, for Not Us. I think that's the first time we've actually been tagged for that Grawlix.
Grawlix saves the world, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Grawlix saves the world, which I think is probably why we got tagged, because they correctly tagged the Grawlix comedy group elsewhere in the same post, but they tagged us once as well when they were talking about.
Do we get any new
podcast.
viewers, followers?
I don't know.
Get a bump? No.
Just in case anybody's watching this later for lawsuit purposes, we do not hope we get new viewers from them. We're not misrepresenting ourselves as them.
We are not
and also,
them.
We've been podcasting for years before they started podcasting. They were a comedy group, but that's a totally separate thing than a podcast, a nerd culture podcast. They started podcasting after. And they smartly did not try to go for Grawlix Podcast. They come up with a fun name for their show.
Yeah.
But we are not them.
That doesn't need to mean anything. Meanwhile, ours capitalizes on the obscure term.
Yeah.
For reasons.
But they will save the world if you pay them enough. I'm not paying them anything. What are you talking about?
They can have the world.
Yeah. All we want is the Grawlix cinematic universe and maybe the Knights.
Yeah.
They can have the world.
We can have the Knights. They can have the world. The world's a mess, and it's probably going to end soon. So it's all yours, guys.
Hey, Paul, Melanie says she'll save the world if you pay her enough.
There you go.
Or if we pay her enough. That's probably not going to happen, though.
But we're going to have to get rid of democracy. Just like Christopher Lloyd.
And space pirates will run rampant.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Ravaging the wasteland. You know, that promo.
I did appreciate, Christopher Lloyd goes on his rant, and then she just zaps him as, like, politics.
Right. That was pretty good. As if they weren't playing politics the whole darn episode.
Right. Melanie beat King. So, what I did want to mention is, I've noticed this trend coming from a website that I only see pop up in Google News. Google News on Android, they're smart with it. Like, if you just swipe left once from your home screen, Google News. And if you allow Google to track your searches, which I had stopped for a while and then turned back on because I liked what Google News had before I turned it off. It at least used to be pretty good about tailoring it, because Google, it knows what you're watching. It knows what you're searching, what you're reading. It knows everything. It's probably listening to me right now because I probably triggered the stupid home thing. But, so I'll often scroll through Google News to get my little echo chamber of random crap.
Sure, yeah.
Sometimes, like
feels good to be echoed.
Right. Like YouTube, sometimes it'll get on a kick where it's like, ugh, I looked at that once. I don't need to see 20 articles about this thing. Ooh, Elon Musk did what? Okay, I'll click that one.
Yeah. One more maybe.
Yeah, exactly. One more. Little Elon what? But anyway, there's a website that covers usually Disney-related stuff. And, I'll click on those once in a while because it's like, I don't know, usually like...
Wait, somebody's out there covering just Disney stuff?
Just Disney stuff. Just Disney. And most of the articles I've seen...
Nerds.
Right. Interestingly, most of the articles I seen weren't even like the stuff you'd expect. It was like news stories about something with Disneyland and stuff like that. Like they're just like all things Disney, right?
By the way, that was a joke, and I totally know there's a whole like Disney mafia out there. Please don't add at me. That was totally a joke, and I respect everything you do with your life. You adults.
Weird, overreaching corporate overlord. Fine.
Get ready for our next 1-star review.
You're gonna blow up the sun.
Dang it. Oh, we've been better off if we tried that as opposed to anger the Disney adults.
Fuzz bucket.
Bed knobs and broomsticks.
Anyway, what I was saying is, I think it was from this site, but I don't want to mention the site in case I was wrong. But I noticed articles specifically about Mandalorian. Somebody has a beef against Mandalorian. Now, if you want to give Mandalorian or anything a negative review, you don't like it, you want to put your negative review in the headline, fine. Like, Mandalorian sucks because of this. That's fine.
It sucks.
I've noticed a trend. I've noticed a trend of straight up fake news. Mandalorian producers don't know where to go. We're probably canceling after this season. Like, just like straight up just fake. There was one about the cameos, and it was like, the cameo everybody missed, Disney goes back on their word or whatever, and it's got a picture of Gina Carano. And I was like, after watching this episode, I was like, no, that was straight up a fake news as well. That was straight up a lie.
It's just a clickbait lie. Yeah.
So it's not even like cheesy clickbait. It's straight up lies. And then the stuff where they're like, the producers said this, blah, 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 and they don't know where to go with the show. And then you read the article, and it's like, no, you just are ranting about this thing. The producer said nothing. No one else is reporting on this because if a producer said, we don't know what to do with the show, it's probably done, that would be everywhere. So it's just like
Yeah.
straight the red man is a Disney princess. So it's just straight up lies. And I told Google, don't show me stuff from that website anymore. But that just struck me as weird. It's like fake news is never good, right? But oh, Paul says this sounds like comicbook.com. Okay. It's
Right.
not
Or
it's not
giant
them.
freaking robot or one of
Yeah.
those. We
It's
got
not
you
them.
covered.
Yeah, that one. That was
That
one I
one.
was unfamiliar with. Jesse, you pointed out like, maybe don't want to get news from there.
Right.
And I was like, okay, does comingsoon.net do that? I feel like I've pulled stories from there that are usually innocent enough.
I think though, comicbook.com and comingsoon.net they're less missed than the other two we mentioned, but they got a lot of misses too. Like you just can't. They just don't vet their sources at all.
Yeah, Melanie says you can get a lot of traffic from fake news. It just seems weird to like. It almost seems like an intentional. I guess they're just trying to get clicks, but I read that as like, I hate the show. I want it canceled. I'm just gonna put out fake news into the ether, with the hopes that people just adopt that and assume it's gonna happen, and that will manifest it. Which is basically how fake news kind of works anyway. It's kind of, I mean, look at, not to get political, but like, anytime certain people, it doesn't matter what party, just say things where it's just like, that's categorically just a fat lie. Like, that's just nothing. But they keep saying it so that people will then think it's true.
Right.
It feels like that, but for like a TV show. Like, what's the point? Seriously?
I don't even think Chat GPT would let you get away with this. Like if you're like, hey, Chat GPT, write me a fake news article about the Mandalorian. I bet it wouldn't do it.
Oh, interesting. Melanie would get. So Melanie said Americans are stupid, talking about fake news things, and then said it
Oh.
just kicked her out for a second for talking smack about her own country.
Oh,
Oh, Facebook.
oh my.
Melanie runs into a lot of trouble with Facebook. And it's not like she's not out there spreading fake news. So, whatever. Just start saying people cameo in your episodes and bump those.
Oh yeah. Well, just yeah. So we've got Grogu on the show tonight.
Grogu's first words on our podcast.
On our podcast.
Hear it here. Melanie says she's just too funny. She's too funny.
That's the thing. Facebook can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Just comicbook.com and comingsoon.net. I don't know if they'll. I don't recall seeing things as egregious as what I'm talking about there.
Right.
And that's not to say like I said, if it's a review or something, or you just clearly have a bias. I mean, I guess don't pretend you're a news organization if you are just
right.
there.
Yeah,
to
if you're a
present bias.
satire site or whatever,
Yeah,
just be blatant about it.
that's fine. But like, to write headlines that sound like news and then it's just like blatantly false. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird, and I just don't get it when it's something like the Mandalorian. Who cares, man? But
Oh no. Oh, that's when the show will really have jumped the shark, when Grogu's first word is just that stupid DJ air horn. Burp, 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 burp.
it's probably a YouTube video now too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can just see it. It's like in that like almost pseudo flash style. Like the lazy flash animation, and it's just Grogu opening his mouth like, and it's just the noise. Burp.
I tell you what, I wish we were the Grawlix posted in that post, because that post is getting likes, man.
Oh yeah.
I wish we were the Grawlix tagged in that post, or I wish, whatever, you know what I mean.
We are the Grawlix tagged in that post.
We are, but I wish we were correctly tagged in that post, and that post was getting these likes. Anyway. Okay, yes. Melanie makes a good point. Yeah, if it were an accident like Tekken,
Right.
it's okay, but don't intentionally mislead people.
And that was actual news. It was just really old.
And listen, that Tekken story was true.
Yeah.
It just had happened about 12
Already.
years before we reported on it.
Right, yeah.
It just already happened.
We thought it was weird that Tekken was making a big comeback. It wasn't. It already did.
It's kind of like I come across. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I come across.
Is it Virtua Fighter?
No, they've probably talked about it. No, I come across a YouTube channel that I appreciated, but they cover video game news, right? But
Okay.
it's like basically this day in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's whatever day it is, but 1990 in this case, since it's 2023, 1993, right? And they
Right.
report on the new video games coming out this day in the 90s, but they report it as if it's now, like happening,
yeah.
like present. And but they will reference stuff that future stuff too, but I appreciated that format. And I was like, that's fun. I like that. So like maybe that's what we were doing when we did the Tekken story.
Yeah.
Probably get a new Tekken movie before I get Grawlix 100.
What time is it? Yeah.
Well,
show's over. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
56 minutes. About time to wrap this.
Well, yeah. Could Grok save the world for us,
What?
please?
You know what's amazing?
What's amazing?
And broadcast.
Right.
I was talking about Grawlix 100 today, in fact. Not that I know what you're talking about, Paul. But
I mean, yeah. I mean, if that, let's say hypothetically that existed and we had to like follow up pre-recorded stuff, if those recordings still existed, our voices would probably still sound the same, wouldn't they? If we aged
listen,
enough
at
that our
certain
voices
ages-
would be different.
it has been like 2 years at least since we record.
I think
we might
some
have
of us
if
different
we-
recording, like our mics might be different in some cases, you know, and I'm sure you've got different like audio inputs.
Oh shoot, my gear might mostly be the same actually, which is
yeah.
probably why I need to replace some of it. But my gear is mostly the same. You know, if that were the case, if we had pre-recorded
Hypothetically,
most of it, Grawlix
first
100
act
episode,
may be recorded.
but we still had things to record still. And if maybe a hard drive wouldn't have crashed, it'd be a lot further along. And then Randy lost motivation. We'll just train an AI on the voices so we can just have an AI.
Oh
finish
man,
it.
yeah. See, really, that's what's taken so long. Is AI just
Training
needs to
AI.
get caught up.
We're waiting for it to catch
It
up.
would be too much editing at this point to use AI. So we're just
It's
like,
just gonna hand all the files over and be like, "Here's what happens," and it's gonna spit out a movie or something.
and then it's gonna be like totally. It's gonna be different. Like if let's say hypothetically there were a doppelganger Jesse, like that thing will gain sentience.
I want it. I want that now. I want a doppelganger Jesse AI.
Oh man, you know what's
was-
amazing? This comment right here is amazing.
Melanie says a new experiment shows light interacts with its past,
Ooh.
and next they're going to shoot it into a time crystal. That's such a like, whoa! This light
Wait a minute,
interacts with
what?
its past. What if we shoot it into? That's so,
What if we shoot it into a time crystal and create a frickin' paradox?
and then we throw that into that tiny black hole we made. Science.
Great. Put it in the hadron.
Yeah, Melanie says it right there. That's science.
That's science. Boom. Yes. Mess around and find out. Science. Right there.
I'm not going to read this, Paul, because it would never be such a thing. We'd never do a time travel
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. Talking to ourselves. Come on.
What? Pre-recorded 2 years ago. Just saying. We didn't steal anyone's idea.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with that.
Blink. Blink.
Longer
blink.
than 2 years ago. Longer than 2 years ago. Because I remember being like, what if we just skip 2020 and just be like, well, that's not the year. Whatever. It's 2023,
right.
Randy.
Oh, that's right.
We
Yeah.
recorded that so long ago. Anyway.
We won't sound like ourselves at all.
I think that's better. That's better. Okay. Well, that's the show.
That
Let's keep
is
it
a show, guys.
nice,
we even
tight
got an amazing thing from the chat.
Melanie says we did lose some of it too.
I believe that, yeah.
Yeah. I lost a bunch of sound. Man, there were some cool soundscapes built. We're not talking about this. It doesn't exist. Hey. There was a little setback. It's true. Thanks everybody for watching. Jesse, you got anything exciting going on coming up? Anything?
I don't. But one thing I would like to talk about, since we actually have one person that's not on the show in the chat is Sunmaker by Ryan Kroboth. He's kickstarting his third issue now, and he's just a super swell guy. I'm shocked that we haven't had him on the show before.
I like those covers.
Right?
Those covers.
And so, like, the third
cool.
chapter is like the last chapter of it. And Axton has done cool little stickers and stuff for it in the past. Like, that's Axton Kaler art right there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Dude is just super cool. And so last time that he tried to get the Kickstarter funded, it was like $50 short. I'm not even kidding. Like $50 short. So it didn't get funded. And so he's redoing it. He's doing it again. And he's got, I don't know, better part of a month left. So if you're interested in cool, independent comic book creators, check out Ryan Kroboth on Facebook. It's Kroboth with a K. Ryan is spelled like it is. And yeah, check out his Kickstarter, because it's a good story and I'd love to see it get completed. I'm already a backer. I was an early bird day one.
Cool.
But yeah, check it out.
All right. Hey, if you want to hear more of this show, go to grawlixpodcast.com and then probably follow the links to our Facebook or YouTube or Twitch page. Twitch doesn't hold replays very long, so go to YouTube. Or you can find some of our older episodes on the audio formats on podcast directories. If you want to support us, patreon.com/GrawlixPodcast. Or, hey, I got an affiliate link for you. Go to Humble Bundle. You can get yourself some Cherry Audio synth plugins this month. I'm eyeballing it pretty hard, even though I own 2 of those synths already.
They have
Cherry
another
Audio is
content creator thing too, don't they? Or did that just expire?
No, I'm pretty sure they do. But yeah, they got a really good one right now. If you're into music production, it's got like 4 or 5 Cherry Audio plugins. 4 of them are synths, which are totally decent, and an awesome reverb plugin. And if you're like, oh, I don't know, synth stuff, MIDI, what? They also have a ton of sample packs and stuff. It's like a pretty good pack.
I don't know gets about MIDI.
I don't know gets about MIDI. Grawlixpodcast.com/humble. It's that redirect you. That's our affiliate link. I'll probably use it. Well, actually, it's my account, so I can't use it myself. But
Oh, right.
Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great time. Easter things. Go eat a chocolate bunny.
Go eat a bunny. Go eat a Messiah.
Eat of his bunny body. What? Go hide some eggs. Fertility.
Eat a zombie Christ.
But now we have.
We've
The show's getting
lost
over.
everyone.
Now we have some viewers. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
You're right.
Our number
They
just
know.
jumped
They
up.
came
You're right.
noticeably.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.